The movie starts at an undisclosed CIA location where interrogations are taking place. The U.S. government has used all its resources to capture Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks that destroyed the Twin Towers. 2 years after 9/11, Maya, a CIA analyst tasked with finding Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, is stationed at the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. She is joined by Dan, a CIA officer. Together, they interrogate a suspected terrorist named Omar, who has been arrested for allegedly being in contact with the 9/11 hijackers. The CIA has uncovered evidence of money laundering between Omar and the hijackers. During the interrogation, Dan questions Omar about the Saudi group, which is believed to be planning another attack. Despite being tortured, Omar refuses to provide any information. At the CIA headquarters, Maya meets Joseph Bradley, the CIA chief, and other analysts. They discuss possible locations where Osama bin Laden might be hiding, but no one is certain about any specific place. As a result, they decide to focus their efforts on Abu Faras, a lead they believe is more reliable. The next day, Dan and Maya return to interrogate Omar again. Dan repeats his questions, but Omar remains silent. To force him to talk, they subject Omar to extreme measures, stripping him of his clothes and chaining his neck. They threaten to lock him in a small box. At this point, Omar finally reveals some information, but it is vague and incomplete. The CIA is unable to make progress based on his statements. On May 19, 2014, terrorists armed with guns storm a hotel in Khobar, Saudi Arabia, and open fire indiscriminately. The attack at the hotel in Khobar, Saudi Arabia, results in the deaths of many Americans and Saudi citizens. Dan feels guilty and blames himself for the attack, but Jessica, another CIA analyst, reassures him that it is not his fault. During this time, Maya comes up with a plan. They use a psychological tactic on Omar, keeping him awake for 4 days straight. They then convince him that his lack of sleep has caused short-term memory loss. After this, Omar is taken out of his cell, given proper food, and interrogated in a more conversational manner. Under these conditions, Omar reveals the names of 3 individuals: Hamza Ravia, Kawal al-Masri, and Abu Ahmed, who were with him after the 9/11 attacks. Omar also shares that his uncle once worked for Osama bin Laden and mentions that he saw bin Laden in Karachi a year ago. He adds that bin Laden sent him a letter. Maya returns to her office and reviews footage of all the arrested terrorists to gather more information about Abu Ahmed. Meanwhile, Osama bin Laden continues to communicate with his followers through his network. During a break, Maya talks to Jessica, who suggests that people can be bought with money. Maya disagrees, stating that al-Qaeda members are too extreme to be influenced by money. The next day, Maya travels to Poland to gather more details about Abu Ahmed. She changes her appearance and interrogates a prisoner, who reveals that he was in contact with a witness named Abu Faras, who used to send messages to Osama bin Laden. The prisoner also mentions that Abu Ahmed was involved in computer work, but doesn't know much else about him. Maya takes this information to her CIA chief, Joseph Bradley. However, Bradley tells her that the details she has gathered are not enough, as there is no concrete information about Abu Ahmed's real name or location. Maya insists that Abu Ahmed is a significant figure, as everyone in their investigations has heard about him. Bradley instructs her to continue searching for Abu Ahmed and to inform him if she plans to take any further action. In the next scene, another terrorist attack occurs, this time in London on July 7, 2005. The attack is carried out by al-Qaeda, marking another tragic event in their ongoing campaign. The CIA team watches the news of the London attack on TV, and the pressure on them intensifies. Meanwhile, Maya is working tirelessly to gather information about Abu Ahmed. In the next scene, Dan is at the CIA office in Baghdad Air Force Base, feeding monkeys while waiting for a prisoner named Faraz, who has been captured by the CIA team. At the same time, Maya is at a Pakistan ISI detention center interrogating another prisoner. This prisoner, who was responsible for managing finances in al-Qaeda, provides detailed information about the organization. He reveals that Abu Ahmed used to work for Faraz and Osama bin Laden, but later disappeared. Meanwhile, Dan begins interrogating Faraz, who was arrested by a CIA agent in disguise with the help of Pakistani police. CIA Chief Joseph Bradley decides to take over the interrogation himself. Dan brings Faraz to the cell, but Faraz refuses to eat. After 18 hours, Dan forces food into Faraz's mouth using a funnel. During the interrogation, Faraz claims he does not know Abu Ahmed. Maya asks Dan if he wants to continue interrogating Faraz, but Dan declines. He expresses his desire to return to Washington and resume regular office work, urging Maya to come back with him. However, Maya refuses, determined to capture Abu Ahmed and bring down Osama bin Laden at any cost. Dan warns Maya to be cautious with the prisoners, as the political climate is shifting. Later, Jessica meets Maya at the Marriott Hotel in Pakistan. Jessica warns Maya that her pursuit of Abu Ahmed could be extremely dangerous. Maya responds that she has made some progress and finds it significant that Faraz denied knowing Abu Ahmed. Suddenly, a massive explosion occurs outside the Marriott Hotel. Maya and Jessica are thrown to the floor by the blast and quickly escape through the kitchen. News reports reveal that a truck driver, stopped at a checkpoint, detonated a truck carrying over 2,000 pounds of explosives at the hotel's entrance. The driver's intention was to destroy the entire Marriott Hotel. In the tribal areas of northern Pakistan, a secret meeting of Osama bin Laden's close associates is taking place. Among those present is Dr. Khalil al-Balawi, an informant working for Jessica. He records the meeting and sends the video to Jessica. Jessica shows the footage to Maya, and together they approach CIA Chief Joseph Bradley. Maya expresses skepticism, warning that the video could be a lie or a trap. Jessica, however, insists on meeting Dr. Balawi to verify the information. She gets approval from Bradley to arrange a meeting with Balawi, accompanied by Maya. Later that night, Jessica informs Maya that the meeting with Balawi has been cancelled because he cannot leave al-Qaeda-controlled territory in Islamabad. Instead, Balawi invites Jessica to meet him in the tribal area of Maransha. Maya refuses, knowing how dangerous it would be to go there. Jessica then proposes an alternative meeting point on the Afghanistan border, and Balawi agrees. Jessica is thrilled about the meeting, as this is the most significant lead she has had in the 9/11 investigation. She celebrates with her CIA colleagues, reiterating her belief that anyone can be bought with money. Jessica plans to offer Balawi $25 million in exchange for accurate information about Osama bin Laden. She is confident that the money will persuade him to cooperate, but if he refuses, they will kill him. On December 30, 2009, Jessica waits at the CIA base in Afghanistan with her interrogation team, expecting Balawi to arrive. Hours pass, but there is no sign of him. As Jessica prepares to leave in her car, she spots a vehicle approaching from a distance. The car is stopped at the checkpoint, but Jessica had previously arranged that no one would search Balawi or his vehicle. She orders the guards to let the car through. The car enters the CIA base, and an old man steps out. One of his hands is hidden in his pocket, creating a tense and suspicious atmosphere. As soon as the man steps out, he shouts, triggering a devastating blast. The explosion kills several CIA agents, including Jessica and John. Upon hearing the news, Maya becomes deeply depressed. An agent later informs Maya that a prisoner has confirmed Abu Ahmed's death in 2001 and that he was buried in Kabul. This shocks Maya, as her entire mission was focused on finding Abu Ahmed to eventually track down and kill Laden. Jack approaches Maya and asks what she plans to do next. Maya firmly replies that she will kill Laden along with everyone involved in the operation. During a meeting at CIA headquarters, Maya's colleague Debbie hands her a file on Ibrahim Saeed, whose family is linked to terrorist activities. Debbie believes that Ibrahim Saeed might actually be Abu Ahmed under a different name. After the events of 9/11, no one had paid attention to Ibrahim Saeed. Maya reviews Abu Ahmed's file again and begins to suspect that he might still be alive. She immediately contacts Dan, asking him to obtain Ibrahim Saeed's family's phone number. Dan, in turn, convinces his boss Wolf to fund Maya's mission, and Wolf agrees. Dan travels to Kuwait, meets an informant, and secures Saeed's mother's phone number in exchange for a Lamborghini. Meanwhile, Maya teams up with Larry and Hakeem to uncover the identity of Saeed's brother, who could actually be Abu Ahmed. During this time, a car bomb explodes in New York, increasing pressure on CIA head Bradley. He argues with Maya, accusing her of wasting time on Abu Ahmed while America remains vulnerable to terrorist attacks. Despite this, Maya remains determined to pursue her mission. Maya firmly tells Bradley to either assign her a team or send her back to Washington, where he would have to face a congressional hearing for failing to capture Osama bin Laden and undermining the team's efforts. Hearing this, Bradley agrees and assigns her a team. CIA agents then deploy 4 to 5 technicians to safe houses in Rawalpindi and Peshawar, Pakistan. Maya works with her team, using a clone phone provided by Jack to track their target's location. However, the Pakistani ISI becomes increasingly frustrated with the CIA's operations, eventually filing a lawsuit against Bradley. Protests erupt outside the CIA office in Pakistan, leading to Bradley's removal as CIA head. Meanwhile, Larry, Hakim, and a tech agent drive through the city, tracing signals using the clone phone. After considerable effort, they identify the phone owner and take his picture from their vehicle. They follow him to a large compound where his car stops. The team suspects that Abu Ahmed and Laden might be inside the compound, but their approach puts them within the terrorist sights. The following day, 2 terrorists ambush Maya's car with gunfire. Fortunately, the vehicle is bulletproof, and Maya survives. The new CIA chief warns Maya that she is now on the terrorist target list, but Maya refuses to back down. Maya becomes increasingly convinced that both Laden and Abu Ahmed are living in the compound Larry and Hakim had identified. She, along with George and Steve, informs the CIA director about their findings. The CIA director grants them a week to gather solid evidence, instructing them to be certain rather than speculative. Despite their efforts, they fail to confirm the presence of Laden and Abu Ahmed within the given time frame. Maya grows frustrated as George refuses to authorize an operation on the compound without conclusive proof. Meanwhile, George tries to convince National Security Agency officials that the compound is Osama bin Laden's hideout. He presents a detailed report on the efforts to locate Laden, emphasizing that the residents' cautious behavior strongly suggests it might be an al-Qaeda base. He highlights how they meticulously cover their tracks. Despite months of surveillance, the operation drags on for more than 3 months. Eventually, George, Maya, and Dan travel to Area 51 to meet with the SEAL team. Maya briefs the SEAL team on her findings and provides detailed information about the compound suspected to house bin Laden. A month later, the CIA analyst, alongside the director, decides to act on Maya's lead. During a lunchtime meeting, the CIA director praises Maya for her perseverance and dedication. On May 11, 2011, the CIA and Navy SEAL team assemble at the CIA operating base in Afghanistan for final preparations. That evening, George calls Maya and informs her that the operation is set for the same night. As night falls, 3 Navy SEAL helicopters, including one with Hakim on board, surround the target compound. The SEAL commandos breach the mansion, shooting anyone who poses a threat. Hakim instructs the women and children to surrender and move to a safe corner. The commandos meticulously search each room of the compound. In the main building, they discover an office-like room filled with computers and files. Commando Jared ascends the stairs and calls out for Osama. After a brief moment, a man steps into Jared and immediately shoots the man. Patrick and the other commandos join him upstairs. They take a photograph of the deceased and send it to headquarters, where it is confirmed to be Osama bin Laden. The SEAL team gathers all the files and Osama's body before preparing to leave. Due to damage, they destroy 1 helicopter but manage to return safely to base in the other 2. At the CIA base, Maya is filled with relief and happiness as she reviews the collected evidence and personally confirms the identity of Osama bin Laden. The SEAL team celebrates the successful mission and the death of America's most wanted enemy. The film concludes depicting a significant moment in history based on true events.